What up, pupils? Here we are again, another episode of Iris on the Eye. Iris on the Eye. We're just gonna jump right into the deep end here with what I would consider an old but gold clip from the JRE, and I'll let it speak for itself. So, if the thumbnail on the the thumbnail and the title of the video didn't give it away, the first clip sure will. Here we go.
So the craziest version of this story is that they genetically engineered us out of lower primates and put us here to mine gold.
Mm-hmm. So this is just for clarity's sake. I probably also put it on screen. They being the Anunnaki. I'm also going to try to talk into the microphone because I realized that that also helps the sound quality. Put the comment on the screen, the dude who was like, hey man, you're kind of quiet when you're talking. And then the only other thing that I'm going to add and say before trying to stay on the clip is I'm going to keep me interjecting to, it can't be longer than the longest clip from now on is my rule of thumb. So hopefully I'm gonna do a good job with that. Back to the clip.
Right. And then established different types of civilizations and taught us how to build things, taught us all these different things. And enough time has passed that we've kind of forgotten. Mm-hmm. Enough time has passed. That's the wackiest version of it, right?
Right. That's the bare bones minimum.
Yeah, the wackiest versions that they made us, mm-hmm. which is we've talked about this a couple of times, but how bizarre it is that human beings have this incredible fascination for gold. Mm-hmm. We're fascinated with gold. Yeah. This fascination with gold is really weird. Mm-hmm. Like, why back when it was basically useless? You couldn't make a knife out of it. Right. You couldn't, it didn't make sense that this would be so valuable. Just because it's rare, you're barely alive. Right. We're going, right? We're going back to full-on hunter and gatherer, our ancestors with spears and stone chipped, and then after that, gold emerges, mm-hmm. and it stays. Yeah. It stays forever. Yeah. Now, when you read Zecharia Sitchin's book, he talks about this in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. His description of it was that they needed to suspend gold particles in the atmosphere mm-hmm. because their atmosphere was being destroyed. Right. Then you move to somewhere around the 2000s when climate scientists start proposing this idea mm-hmm. of suspending reflective particles in the atmosphere. Right. And then when you realize the unique properties of gold, how unusual it is in terms of a building material, you can coat things. Mm-hmm. The reason why things are coated in gold, gold plated rather, you can take a tiny piece of gold and cover an enormous area with it. It's a strange metal. Yeah. Really weird. Mm-hmm. And what, the supposed story is, it's very common on Earth, very rare on Nibiru.
Right. Yeah, that's the story. And now when I started looking into this gold thing myself, and here's what I came up with. So when you start analyzing the text, you discover that there was an encampment in a place called South Africa at Adam's Calendar. Okay. Now, at Adam's Calendar, there's actually the very first gold mines discovered. They're dating them back to about 200,000 years ago.
Actually. So, I don't know, I guess just slightly context of Anunnaki and everything is these ideas of ancient little g gods comes from this one specifically is the Sumerian tablets, which is the mixture of giants and may or may not be Nephilim. This comes from the oldest recorded human myth that we currently know about as the date of this recording, being the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is this dude who's in the clip, Billy Carson. He's a UFO alien experiencer researcher dude and did his own interpretations of it and is a fairly book-learned man. He's somebody that I used to... There was something that I watched recently that's kind of changed my opinion on him. I can't recall everything because I'm just a human being who's stuck with the felt sense and the feelings of the memories, and can't recall the exact computer tutorial perfect recall details, but that's just where I'm at with it. But let's just keep going because this is again the idea of not throwing the baby out of the bathwater. We're starting here with UFOs, aliens, and how like this is the common theme and thread has just been with humanity since the very beginning, theoretically, potentially, since our inception. But I'm not really sure if they actually genetically engineer us or not. I don't know. But back to the clip.
And that's incredible because there's a building there that looks like a worn down structure. Now, in the tablets, it talks about the fact that the Ijiji, who were the working class Anunnaki beings who were cleaning out the Euphrates and Tigris River so they can create irrigation and, create a bustling civilization. Also, they were doing the actual construction themselves. No people needed, just them working. They were like the construction workers, and Anu and Enki and Enlil, these leader gods, were like, the foremen, the master architects and so forth, right? The boss. So these people were working, but they weren't supposed to be enslaved. They were volunteers. They got tired of doing the work, according to them, for about 250,000 years of labor on Earth, and also, according to them, on Mars. This is in the text. They call it Lamu. And so they decided to go to war against Enki, Enlil, and Anu because their demands had not been met. So they went to meet them in the Epic of Atrahasis. They go to Adam's calendar. They go to that same structure that was discovered where that gold mine is located. I was like, holy crap, there is some link here to gold. Specifically, exactly, I don't know. But I know if you're an advanced civilization, you need gold. And the people that you have working it for you probably think, it's to adorn or to adorn yourself or in recognition of the gods. So they'll wear it and they'll utilize it, but not for technology. What's crazy is they go to war, they go to get ready to go to battle, and then Enki says, I have an idea that will stop this war. There's an existing being on this planet, existing, not something that doesn't exist, existing. We can add our essence to it with a slain god. So they're talking about taking the DNA or genetics from one of themselves and mixing it with the DNA of the hominid that was here. It's not specified whether it was, an ape man or anything, but they don't specify in the tablets, but to create a worker being. And they began to do this genetic modification, probably disconnecting some of our DNA, making genetic modifications to us to get us to take orders from them. They inserted something called a worship gene, which was just discovered recently, that human beings have a gene inside of them that can be turned on and turned off. It can be turned off in a laboratory setting. It can also be turned off with a magnetic field around your head. And when it's off, you don't want to worship anything outside of yourself. You look inside, and when it's on, you look to get something from the outside. So this is incredible. They made us worship people.
Gene
yes.
inside of us to make us worship them. Wow,
right.
How genius.
Yeah, so as far as like the worship gene, the rudimentary basic Google search says probably not, but it's one of those things where I need to actually like spend a month, several days just reading and getting to the first hump in the Dunning-Kruger effect, and then still just being a total idiot and not know what I'm talking about for several years. I'm not really certain one way or the other on that one. What I do feel more strongly about is the idea that through that first deception of them manipulating us and like not creating us, but whatever the fuck they did, if this is to be the exact case, is that it kind of theoretically brought us to consciousness, maybe, and or gave us the free will. There's somebody, I was watching a Tim Pool thing about conspiracies, and he was saying that, I don't even know what, because I've never even heard of this flavor strand of this story, that there was some group or within the Anunnaki called the something of the serpent, and that they came to us because they like knew what was happening was kind of like fucked up and wrong, that because of the being enslaved, which is enslavement is a theft of freedom. Obviously, you're doing things against your will, but if you're ignorant or you're unaware because of occulted knowledge, or you just are oblivious to this fundamental natural law, as you'll soon come to hear me say a shit ton, then it's without that, whatever that group of people were, whatever the serpent, that then sort of like through history and time and myth comes to the biblical American version of the story of Adam and Eve getting this like burden of knowledge from the tree of good and evil, or whatever it is, from the snake, the serpent, Satan, and all that shit. But I've more and more through this researcher and my friend, my friend's name is Dylan, but the researcher's name is Mark Passio. He just has this giant thing on natural law, and where the heck did I want to go with that? That's Satanism, whether it be a deitized version of it or the more atheistic version of just worshiping your own ego and being like only out for self-preservation is the highest good, and that then your morality or moral relativism becomes what's good for me is what's only good for me, and everything else, if it's a detriment to somebody else, it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect me. That worship of the ego, the worship of the ego, which is weird, this whole God gene, right, thing, or the worship gene, that like if you're only worshiping yourself, and I think he more meant of like looking within to find the God, your God source within, and that your God source within is also without, and is the thing that ties us all together. But that like people who are only worshiping themselves out for themselves, the selfish, like purely like, I guess, satanic, demonic idea that they're the only thing that matters, and that they want to elevate themselves to like a god above us status and create this master slave class dynamic. That's not great. Yeah, not great. And I need to do some more probably either research or learning from Mark Passio, but I think for me that I'm maybe oversimplifying it, but from like I watched like a 9-hour talk, it was a bunch of chunks, but that the fundamental amoral act boils down to theft, that rape, murder, there's literal theft of property, coercion, and can't remember the other one. There's probably at least 2 more, because these were his like 7 deadly sins or whatever. But they're all actions, and they all boil down to like stealing someone's life, stealing someone's property, stealing someone's like freedom of like sexually relating, freedom of liberty. If you're gonna detain someone against their will, they haven't done anything wrong morally, and that like this moral pillar comes from the one infinite creator. And I think I'm breaking my rule here, so hopefully I can edit this all down to less than this longest clip. But we'll just get into the next one, which let's get into the next clip.
Show this, that no matter what culture you go to, they're always depicting these things the same. Even royalty, as you can see here, is always depicted the pale white skin and wild red hair motif. And the royalty believe themselves to be descendants of the Nephilim, to have the divine right to rule. Here's the Theym in India. Now, where this Theym character dresses like this psychedelic monster here for the village in order to channel the demons, and then the people give sacrifices to the demon, and the person channeling the demon has to eat the live chicken they've just been given as a sacrifice, to please the demon's satiation for blood and all these type of things. And in return, they get knowledge. They get information. Here's the Day of the Dead ritual from I think it's Beijing.
Okay.
Here's the creepy clown sightings of 2016.
Yes. I recall that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they were hinting to us, the Nephilim are about to return in some way or something like that. Here's the Fighter Con. This is the Day of the Dead ritual in I think it's Thailand actually. Bangkok, and around that region. And this is what they do. They dress like the spirits of the dead. Yeah,
so this channel, this dude, I don't even know his actual name, but Understanding Conspiracy is just this. I've recently stumbled upon this concept. For him, it seems very like ideological, like his ideological quilt, that it's all encompassing. But his first initial point, that Anunnaki, the Nephilim, these beings that in some way, shape, or form, depending on which train of thought or storyline you're following, influence us in like, and then in the demonology episode, we're saying that like people aren't who study this stuff and are quote unquote experts or are deeper into it than me aren't 1,000% sure as to like were they physical beings or they just disembodied spirits, but either way there's the element, the common thread that kind of ties the stuff together is this like notion of authoritarian master-slave dynamic between them wanting to rule over us and that the demigods, quote unquote, are like that picture of Elizabeth, and that they theoretically his whole stuff is that they all look in, I don't know, act, but they all look very similar, or there's this like weird cultural thread. He's trying to make the case for clowns, or that like the giants and like this red hair and the pale skin thing, which could be, seems based on what I've seen of his stuff, it could be that way. But there's the one thing, because me and my homie, who I think I literally just talked about, Dylan, both very much like, we like to make people laugh and have fun and be jokey, clowny, fucking jestery dudes, and this guy's ideology or his theory is too what is the thing, perennial. It's too perennial. It's too all-encompassing. It's all like, it's the theory. His theory seems to try to make it all bad and everything is contained within his framework. But I don't think that, like, I think the intentionality of it genuinely actually matters. That he has this one, which is I don't have a clip for it in this thing, but if you look at any of his stuff, he has this one example from people in not Zimbabwe, what the heck, in Haiti, or the Haitian voodoo culture dude who's like a skeleton head, and that people dress up like this guy to try to get the power from him, and like they drink and smoke and like do that as an offering to that spirit, versus people in a different part of the world, whether it's the Day of the Dead ones or any of the ones of the cultures that dress up to try to like scare the demons away. That's totally a different intention. Like there's no way that dressing up like them to scare them or trick them, whether they're smart enough to figure that out or not, I don't know, but to like that intention of just being like, yo, we're gonna like dress like you to like fight back and stand up to you is kind of definitely totally different than we're gonna dress up like you and like drink and smoke to like give you power or try to like trade our life force for your power. Like that's, for me, that doesn't seem to be that then every single clown, they're all evil, but that at least the ones that are evil are super evil, and maybe there is this like weird occulted hidden thread that ties together this cultural element of America, or where, depending on where you are in the world, because if you look into more of what this guy is saying, that it's all seemingly symbolic translations from masonry into the circuses and things, and then like how that evolved into like modern pop stars and rock stars and all these people doing all of the weird satanic imagery and everything. But I'm gonna stay on trying to connect these cultural threads that transcend one specific culture and seemingly tie together all of the cultures of the world into the flood myth that isn't just in the Bible. So, next clip, here we go.
And that all these things are probably tales of stories that people pass down from generation to generation that survive this time.
Yeah, because we now know that at that time, between 12,800 and 11,600 years ago, truly global cataclysmic events involving rapid rises in sea level did occur, and suddenly the worldwide tradition of a global flood stops being just a myth and starts being a memory, an account of real events. It's been my privilege to work very closely with Randall Carlson.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Randall is absolutely amazing. He is a total genius. He's also a gentle giant and such a kind, generous, spirited person. It's a joy to work with him. And every minute spent with him is an education. I had the privilege of traveling across the Channel Scablands in Washington State with Randall, and seeing things through his eyes really opened my eyes to the scale of this disaster. You know, you could look at these giant boulders called glacial erratics, and they just look odd sitting there in the landscape. But when you really consider how they got there, that they got there in icebergs the size of oil tankers, that were carried on floods that were at least 500 up to 1,000 feet deep, that were tearing through the channeled scablands, literally ripping the landscape apart. Then the icebergs would ground on valley sides, the flood waters would recede, the icebergs would be left. They're giant icebergs. And as they melted away, they revealed the rocks that they had enchained that were caught up within them, and they're scattered all over the landscape. And you look at that and you think anything that was underneath that 12,800 years ago is gone completely. There can't be anything left of it at all. Utterly, utterly destroyed.
And I would encourage people that are interested in this to please watch the YouTube videos of it, because Randall provides all sorts of video and photographic evidence where you can take a look at the landscape and you get a perspective of how immense this destruction was.
Yeah, it's really important to see that, because it's easy enough to talk about floods and cataclysms, but actually to see its effect on the landscape directly it has an emotional impact. I felt emotional traveling across the Channel Scablands, realizing that this was the heart of an event that changed the world completely. And the evidence continues to build. I have, in America before, I've not gone over old ground that I went over in Magicians of the Gods and that we covered in the various interviews and podcasts, in which it's really a good idea that people take a look at. But what I have done is added the new information published since 2015, which further supports the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis and the notion that multiple fragments of a giant comet hit the Earth and created an absolute global catastrophe.
So that there's evidence, geographical evidence that this shit actually happened. We kind of are skipping and jumping very far forward from the original date that Billy Carson said 250,000 years ago to 12,000 years ago. That's a huge jump, but the pretty sure the standard scientific take is that we existed that long ago in the reasonable biological capacity that we exist in now. It's just people didn't have a body of knowledge or information to go off of realistically. Hunter-gatherers to civilizations, and the first one being Sumer and then Egypt, and the next clip will kind of go into this, but those civilizations are all post this giant flood 10 to 12,000 years ago or whatever, destroying everything. And since that would be a very because the aliens, the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, whatever they are probably doing the similar thing of what we do, where I think it's 80% of our civilization is along the seaboard. So if there's a giant flood from a meteor impacting the Earth, that's gonna destroy and completely change the landscape, like Graham Hancock just said. If you don't know who Graham Hancock is, I don't think he ascribes super hard to he says that there was an advanced human civilization prior to that flood, but he doesn't say that it was aliens. I'm pretty sure he doesn't say it was aliens. I think he says that it was human beings gained a level of thing. I think he might go with Atlantis, because Atlantis is this thing that it was said it was an advanced civilization prior to that. And if it's just humans, less fun, I guess, but I'm kind of leaning more towards aliens. I think it would just be more interesting from a truth is stranger than fiction kind of stance. And I suppose my evidence would be, there's the one thing that I'm gonna save more farther later into the end, but then all of the stories, different cultures of the world who are just like, oh yeah, we came from aliens, star beings came down and to talk to our ancestors or gave our ancestors this knowledge. Because the one thing that about Sumer is one of the things about Sumer is that they had a really great understanding or knowledge of the solar system very accurately, which would be hard if you didn't have a telescope or like whatever. Like it's just incredibly difficult for stone tool people to understand the cosmology or the structure of the solar system in the universe from a genuine modern day scientific perspective. And then there's other cultures. I think there's the Aboriginals also had that, and there's people in South America who also had that, which if the Atlantis was a thing, maybe they spread the knowledge out and around. Maybe it was the Anunnaki. We don't know. Either way, that like our history isn't perfect, and because of how cataclysmic all of these things are, it's tough to actually be able to be like, no, this is actually exactly how it went down. And one of like the weird, at least logical, like not loopholes, but just questions that you can legitimately be like, what the heck about, is this kind of just like all of a sudden it just seems like we went from 0 to 1 overnight or in a very short period of time, which is like doesn't really make sense. Like Sumer and Egypt and these giant pyramids that are in these places in South America, and like Neil deGrasse Tyson makes this point that like it's just the easiest thing to build. Or Göbekli Tepe, which is also around the 10,000, 11,000 year age of these giant megalithic stones. But the way that normal archaeologists say that we would have built them, it doesn't really compute, doesn't really make sense. It would have been too impossible. So there's like this certain level of like either they somehow hid or destroyed their technology the way that we went to the moon. They just destroyed the technology. We don't actually know how to do it anymore. Or that beings that were more advanced had some influence on it. Either way, whether it's A or B, both of those are way cooler than they just used logs and slaves and rope to pull giant stone slabs thousands or hundreds of miles from a quarry to the pyramid. Like, way more interesting to think that they had some like technology that let them like levitate giant stones into place, or crafts that had fucking tractor beams to move the shit around. Like, way cooler, way more like mind bendy, and like, all right. Hopefully this garbage truck is far enough away now. Good lord. But yeah. So the pyramid point. Let's just keep going on that next piece, and we're gonna tie into Antarctica, that lovely ball of conspiratorial yarn, threads to pull on, or gas to throw on the conspiracy fire of Antarctica. Let's just get into the next clip on that one. So excited.
On the bottom of our planet lies the frigid land of Antarctica, the coldest and most inhospitable continent in the world. Stretching over 5 million square miles, Antarctica is covered in ice sheets that reach more than a mile deep. The average daily temperature is negative 49 degrees Fahrenheit, and wind speeds can reach over 100 miles per hour. Today, the only inhabitants of this barren landscape are scientists who work in research stations scattered across the continent. Mainstream geologists have long believed that ancient humans never settled on Antarctica because of its hostile climate. But incredibly, in 2016, satellite images revealed a curious formation emerging from the ice that some researchers believe could be a man-made pyramid.
Recently, there have been a number of reports of pyramids, huge great pyramids in Antarctica. They jut out of the ice and snow, and they look perfect, just like those in Egypt. But they dwarf those in Egypt, like the Great Pyramid. One has a perfectly square base that is 2 kilometres square in each direction. Is it possible, therefore, that our ancestors did actually reach the Antarctic continent and perhaps even settle there?
A man-made pyramid beneath the Antarctic ice? If such an incredible notion is true, then it naturally begs some questions. How was such a massive structure built on Antarctica? When was it done? And by whom?
Antarctica, we have been told from the geologists, has been under ice for many millions of years. However, there is evidence that it could have been free of ice, certainly in certain areas, until perhaps 4000 BC. There are a large number of stories from Polynesia of so-called culture heroes who reached the Antarctic continent. A French academic by the name of Argon put together all of these different stories in a book titled Out of Antarctica. The Polynesian people's stories describe this strange land with these white rocks that come out of the water, which are icebergs, and other creatures such as seals and penguins, and seem to describe an area that we now know as Antarctica. The Polynesian peoples believed this was the place of the ancestors, and they said this is where we came from originally. Why did they believe this if this was untrue?
Is it really possible that the coldest place on Earth was once warm enough to be inhabited by humans? Well, in 2017, German geologists collected core samples from deep within the frozen Antarctic seafloor in order to analyze what the continent's climate might have been like thousands of years ago. What they discovered was astonishing.
In the case of that expedition in early 2017, we used a very special seafloor drill rig that hasn't been used before in Antarctica. So when we used this special drill rig and the sediments came up, we saw immediately more than 60 different taxa of plants, similar to something that you would find in a rainforest, in a temperature regime that was similar to what we today know from northern Italy. And finding that on the Antarctic continent, that was the most exciting thing, because the climatic conditions doesn't today allow any vegetation to survive under those conditions. So based on that location and the environment we found, I think that the Antarctic continent and the secrets that still need to be recovered will tell us a lot about planet Earth.
So that it's an idea. It's an idea. There's a bunch of comments under the YouTube video that are all just like, hey, they're just mountains, bro. Chill out. They're just mountains, which is, I can't say one or the other. I think it's totally feasibly possible that they are mountains. It could be, but I think the possibility also exists based on other people's theories that I've heard that originally it was like the Antarctica when it was nicer and less destroyed. It's one of the things along that the Anunnaki or the Nephilim, whoever, was using it as a base of operations because they could get to the other places easier. But I mean, if you have, I don't know, because it's far enough away, and if it wasn't shitty and cold there during that period, then like if you kept all the humans, slaves away on the other continents mining the gold, then you could go back to Antarctica and have your like breakaway alien civilization there with more advanced shit that or whatever to keep a level of insulation hidden. And then the whole Polynesian cultural thing again of the threat of like, yo, this is where we came from, this place. But I don't exactly recall where I heard that anymore. apologize for not being able to cite my source. This was like during my peak, the alien fucking craze. Got bit by the bug and was doing all the deep research into Antarctica and Nazi breakaway civilizations there and all this crazy shit. Antarctica is just constantly, whether it's the ring of the firmament or if beyond it, there's other land masses, Admiral Byrd, Operation High Jump. These are things that you can look into that speak to just more conspiracies surrounding Antarctica, or the whole agreement between all the countries, contract or whatever it is, treaty that you can't go there unless you're like part of the scientific endeavors of studying whatever the fuck they're studying down there. But it's also just the fact that it's like really fucking cold and hard to get to. For one, you need to be super wealthy to even like form a fucking thing to get down there. And then the military would just like stop you because there's the treaty, which is again just more fucking gasoline for the conspiracy dumpster fire of Antarctica. But I guess to the original tangent of the pyramids and how there's not only theoretically a pyramid there, which may or may not be, I can't actually say with any certain level of certainty other than it's just an idea that I've heard, but that there are giant pyramids on all of the continents, everywhere, like basically everywhere that human beings have been, or I don't know if you can really like carbon date them or whatever, or how accurate the technology actually is, but that it's just like they're everywhere, which is crazy in itself, which is like, why are these hunter-gatherers building this shit? Like, are they the ones building this shit? Just questions to be asked. And then there are pyramids also under the water, which is a thing that I've heard. I tried to find a map for it, but of course I can't. I think this is a Graham Hancock thing, that like because of the flood and whoever was building the shit when the shoreline was deeper or closer down under the waves, that like the fuck, why are there pyramids down there? Or like what are the pyramids down there doing? Like, and then of course the ocean is just like this giant fucking like graveyard of technology and ships and things that like it's once it's like in there, it's pretty much destroyed and hard to like get at after the fact. So yeah, we're in it, man. We're in it. This is the real quote unquote the real history. I think history of the world that is kind of becoming more and more mainstream. And so now that's all relatively ancient up to like the modern day of like what the fuck's going on with aliens, or like these threads and the cultures and the stories of the world. But this specific one, I couldn't find this other one that I had heard about. This is a UFO sighting that is like so like irrefutable that this definitely fucking happened, and it was over the capital of America, Washington D.C. So we'll just I'll let the clip roll on that. Moving on. Dun dun dun. Did they get what they came for? The world may never know, because the government has been fucking hiding this information for 70 or 80 years. Easily. Or whatever. The Roswell was before this, I'm pretty sure, in like the 40s or something. And then, I don't know, again, this is during my like peak alien fucking fascination phase, that there's some dude, one of the military contractors that he worked for was like, we have the technology to bring ET home. Or somebody, it might have been David Wilcock, said that this guy said it and during a presentation, and then there was like a craft that they had that like zoomed off into space or whatever, that it's just the observation of these like phenomenon are very important, because they describe a level of technology or just like an existence that is like beyond our current one, and like getting there again, I think, requires a spiritual maturation, evolution to like the next level of like truly understanding natural law. Like Mark Passio said, you're gonna hear me say that a shit ton going forward, because it's part of the great work, this thing of me as someone who I feel like I've come to an understanding about it, and just trying to live a truly real or a truly righteous or moral life, so that like I can profess and experience true freedom in my life, and that our systems, our belief systems, are, he says religions, but like the faith in money, the faith in authority in the government, the faith in like the institutions of actual religions are like to the detriment, and kind of water down all of the things to be just palatable. Opioids of the masses, so that they don't, I think that's Nietzsche, that they don't ever wake up to like the trueness of natural law, and like what it actually means to be a good person, because it requires this is the trinity of like care. It requires to care very deeply about not only yourself, but like the truth in general, express it, and understand it. Understanding, caring about it obviously comes before expressing it, and I'm trying to get, hopefully I'm at that point in my life where I'm doing this through my creative endeavors and my life, my writing and my music, and eventually the stand-up comedy, and I hopefully get back to it. It's just the dream is to be able to make all this shit funny enough to be a stand-up comedian, but also being enlightening people to the fact that like what they believe is bullshit, which that's a tough thing to have to like attack somebody on, when it's like it requires a lot of shit, like a work to do all the shadow work to like come into your unhealed slave, accepting that you're wrong and that your mindset is trained to be a slave, that all this shit theoretically is hundreds of thousands of years old. And also you gotta take into the consideration that the occult people on the other side, like if I'm the exoteric guy trying to share the esoteric occult hidden knowledge from the light, the good, the morally correct, not bankrupt, that those other people on the other side of the line, the bad guys, the not so good team, are doing everything in their power with their money and corruption and networks of intelligence agencies and sex trafficking and Epstein and shit like that like those people are fucking trying to keep you dumb and stupid and enslaved and running on the treadmill for the almighty dollar and all this crap, that like and to legitimately face your fears and concerns around these tough things. It's just kind of like gotta wake up, man. It's only a nightmare if you're sleeping. Once you're awake and you can see the chains and realize that like we have the power, and that all of their power comes from manipulating us as the order followers. That's what keeps the system chugging along, is the fact that like we don't just decide to stop listening to them and like, create our own correct way or better way. I don't know if it's think it's correct. I think it's better than to be free and have liberty versus enslaved and under the all-seeing watchful eye of Palantir or Oracle or whatever these false AI silicon gods are that they're trying to make. But I think the next clip is just more intense, and this is fairly recent thing out of Peru of evidence of a literal biological specimen that's like an alien. There's just more mounting stuff that, like, I'm just spreading the awareness so that people have the tools to try to be able to at least first acknowledge the fact that they don't have all of the information, and then like take the time and energy and have the care to gather the knowledge to then become wise to take eventual action to continue the great work of spreading the light and truth to all the people that are ready to devour it and understand it and change their lives for the better. So, next clip, baby, next clip.
If you still think the three-fingered mummies are a hoax after this, there is no saving you. This is easily one of the biggest stories of the year. This is why. There's actually 7 of these mummies, and they were found in southern Peru. The reason why these are so controversial is because they genetically have 3 fingers and 3 toes. There's enough tissue on these things to get very good samples. But in that tissue, like Sebastian here, are implants. His are made from osmium and cadmium. We only discovered those 100 years ago. They have elongated heads. Some have implants. This is really interesting because one specimen, Montserrat, was pregnant. The fetus already has an elongated head, one of 2 feti that we know of these creatures. This completely rules out head binding. You can't do that in the womb. Our fingers have very distinct patterns. Their fingers just have lines, straight lines across them. Posted this video up the other day talking about these guys, and apparently I triggered a bunch of people because I said these things were real. I didn't determine this. These guys determined this. David Ruiz is the former president of forensic medicine in Peru. Dr. Jose is the head of forensics for the Mexican Navy. John McDowell is the former president of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. Just won an award for being so good at it. Using this, they sequenced the DNA, then compared it with the known genomes in the U.S. National Library of Medicine. In Maria, 97% of those were identified, 30% matched Homo sapiens. What does that mean? Maria is likely a hybrid organism or a new species. Hoax claims are slowly getting retracted. Here's why.
Well, the only reason you think that these are a hoax is because a journalist, remember the guy who was talking about UFO sightings around the Nazca lines? A guy named Manuel Caceres made wooden figurines that he glued together, dedicated to the Nazca mummies, to sell to tourists. These little trinkets, pieces of touristic art, meant to resemble the real mummies. These were confiscated at the Lima airport in 2023.
This is way bigger than disproving a hoax. Ancient Andean art depicts 3-fingered beings all over the place in textiles and even carvings all the way up to Utah. Now, the burials are strange. They're in caves and open-air cemeteries, but the strangest ones by far are the chulpas. They look like grain silos, but they are completely filled, and they use megalithic masonry techniques, the same that we see in ancient Egypt, like in the Osirian. But the link goes deeper. There's strong evidence for elongated heads in Egypt as well as Peru. And even though there's a shared iconography between pretty much every ancient culture, the one between the Peruvians and the Egyptians is very strong. These guys may try and deceive you by pushing a hoax for some reason, but I'm not going to add to that garbage. All my research has sources cited at the bottom of the page. And Jesse Michaels actually went there and did some phenomenal research. You have to check out this video. It's an hour and a half long. I linked it on my YouTube page if you want to go find that. Or get it straight from the source, tridactyls.org. They have all of the research papers, documents, videos I used in this video. It's all there. So yeah, sticks and stones may break mummy bones, but Waka Flocka like my video.
Fucking humble ass flex, Waka Flocka like this video. Waka Flocka flame. Whatever the heck it is. I'm not going to say that any of the Crips or Blood stuff because I'm not associated with those gangs and I don't want to get in trouble with them. But, yeah, dude. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some cool ass stuff? I think. Very intriguing and just very, like, blatantly in your face. And, yeah, the whole, like, psyop hoax thing is always convenient to try to keep people on the funny farm within the bounds of their like ideologically comfortable lifestyles, and it's just truth is stranger than fiction. It's out there. You just gotta like be able to admit that you're wrong, which is the crux of keeping people stuck in their ways of thinking. That like if you can't do that, you can't get to come to understand and better embody more and higher degrees and scales of truth, and won't be spiritually responsible enough to be able to step into the next echelon or chapter of your life. Requires you to be more morally upright and not bankrupt, because it just in my mind that like the universe isn't gonna bestow more power and more like responsibility and if you can't handle where you're at your current level. And also the thing that it takes like years and years of dedicated like attention and focus and to be able to cultivate an understanding, to be able to share with the world, or confidence within your own being and knowing yourself well enough to be able to speak and act like you know what the fuck you're talking about, or act legitimately know what you're talking about, or aren't afraid to grapple with people who are going to then, if you scare their inner demons or shine a light on their stuff, their shortcomings or pitfalls of their own personalities, that they're gonna attack you. And you just gotta be able to be like, well, you're probably just mentally projecting, because well-balanced, healed people kind of like, they don't fucking do that frequently. I'm thinking of this one specific. This is such a tangent, but I was at an ayahuasca ceremony training and like a facilitator training, and this dude was just like going on this weird ass like tangent. I can't even remember what exactly he said, but I just was like, man, you are so full of shit. Like I literally just said that, and I just felt like I was attacking him. I don't even know if he heard me, but like because everyone else kind of like felt the same way, but I said it out loud. Oh man, dude, it's one of those things where like, I don't even know if hurt people, but there's just this weird interplay of like when two perceptions of the world clash, cultural clashes, or just in general, that like the truth is eternal and always there. Objective reality, objective truth exists, and that all we can do is try to just like bow down to it and like come to try to more and more betterly understand it. I don't know why I brought up the thing about that dude, but it just very much felt like whatever he was going on about was not to say it wasn't, that it wasn't objectively true or whatever it was. There's just this very strong emotional charge that like I felt he was being disingenuous, but he was just like deluding himself and had this whole story that like really didn't serve any purpose other than to like, I don't even know. It's just random bullshit tangent that we're here on. Apologies. We're gonna go. This last one is just like for the lulz. I just thought it was very funny, and it kind of just like I think perfectly brings us back full circle of like, don't be morally bankrupt. Learn about natural law. You can check out the talk that I listened to that I'm like referencing of Mark Passio's work and his channel. You just Google his name. He's got a cool story of being involved in like one of the lower tiers of being in the Church of Satan when he was younger, and how like he learned a bunch of cool occult esoteric knowledge and then eventually went the other way because he was like realized that the people in power are these like narcissistic egoists that don't really care about humanity and are just doing everything for their own personal power. But let's just do the last little funny meme clip right now. Here we go.
I've been scripting all their moves since King's War Crowns. Wait, who are you? I'm ancient as fuck, boy. Most players never spotted me because we were in the Kali Yuga, part of the cycle where it's too dark for anyone to see the system that's running in the background, but now we're in the next expansion pack and everyone gets to see how this shit really works, if they're willing to decode it. But most would rather keep scrolling, come complaining in the chat, and just tap accept on their own enslavement. Why are you being such a fucking tryhard, dude? Look, the game is designed this way on purpose by an intelligence greater than me. I'm just playing my role. Cause a good game needs great villains. Alright, fine. What's the truth? You wanna know? Think chains, walls. Yeah, that shit's noob tier control. Now, I don't even need to hold you. I got you too busy grinding inside the cage you built yourself unconsciously under my rules. Hell yeah. Every swipe is XP and energy for my system. And then like Kettle, you consent to more feeding from your feed non-stop. That's the core mechanic. We just keep you playing our game because when you're stuck looping in ours, We hold the power. So people are keeping themselves in a digital prison. Exactly. Every scroll, every pause, every micro reaction is just prediction data. Some are realizing we're watching them, but we're really trying to forecast them. Right now, I'm grinding to get to the point where I can predict every single thing that you do, because by then I've hijacked your system enough to control it. Don't you see? The scroll is just a script. And we've been writing your scripture for centuries. And the raid bosses don't even hide it now. They call it Oracle, and they call it Palantir. I mean, do we not get it yet? Throw it right in their fucking face. Every name a confession hidden in plain sight. And this whole false light show is straight from central casting. The heroes, the villains, predictive scripting to control your behavior. And you just log in thinking you're being told the truth and then call it mine. You're at the point where you're paying them to predict you. And yes, you are paying. Everything has a cost. That's why they call it paying attention. And that's the war you're losing. You know what? No, I'm taking my focus back. Cute again. Most of you won't even make it 5 minutes without picking back up your scrying device. You'll scroll, forget, and hit restart tomorrow, and then continue your rage in the chat. That's how deep the program runs. Because this is all about your attention. This is the attention war. Because here's the point. We want you focused on the false light war outside that we created. So you never look at the true war within. And all the nervous system work we did to keep you in fight or flight and keep that reptilian brain activated. We like that one. But if y'all figure out what's really going on, which is the point of the game, they'll eventually figure it out, right? But will it be before we take over everything? We'll see. You know how we'd really get cooked quick? Is if someone actually showed them the map of how we run this shit. If that happened, we would be...
Yeah, so Ancient as Fuckboy, I thought that was hilarious. I love when I saw that originally. That was just the thing that got me. It got me so good. I just laughed so hard when I heard him say that, Ancient as Fuckboy. Like, so good, dude. So good to laugh at even now. But yeah, this is exactly the shit that I'm talking about, dog. Like people who are hiding the information, occulting the truth, as they do, which is lying is theft of truth, and if you do that, that's an amoral act that is legitimately evil. There's like the white lie to set up a punchline, not really evil because you're trying to fucking give someone joy through a micro deception, I guess I could say. But like the actual act of like working for the great work on the dark side versus the light side is morally reprehensible, straight up wicked, dog, straight wicked. Malicious, very malicious to like think that because this is all, again, Mark Passio. I'm just gonna keep saying that name over and over until people are like, shut up, stop saying his name. But the old religion, it's like the world's oldest religion is this thing of just like worship your ego, and that like everything is justified against people who because people are unaware, the uninitiated, which I guess is like I'm trying to initiate you into the trivium or just finding legitimately true knowledge or wisdom or getting to wisdom, because wisdom is the action step of this thing, and that like you gotta fucking come to an understanding of truth through researching, because the internet, all of this shit is there, whatever. The bigger body of knowledge you come from, you just start to see patterns in it all, that every system, every secret society, every teaching kind of tiptoes around this thing, that there's like some type of creator, and the natural law is it's like code for being able to enforce karma on people, and that the people pulling the strings, doing the amoral, playing the villains, like this dude Nick Zai is his Instagram page, everything's linked in the description if you want to check out his shit, that they're all just doing what they're quote unquote supposed to spiritually be doing, and that it's on us as the people trying to be morally upright, live in the light, live in the truth, to like find this shit. And now it's on me because I have the burden of knowledge to express it and put it out for more people to be able to try to come to understanding it, and that eventually get together, meditate for world peace, or like stop playing with their money that's broken in a control mechanism, and don't stop loving it because it's not good to do that, and then stop working for it and stop letting it be something that corrupts your morals, That's not one of the big things, that like if your job is to be a fucking mainstream media journalist and lie to people, or be a fucking propagandist for the government, that like that's morally bankrupt because you're stealing the truth from people, and like that's not good. It's bad, I would say. So yeah, I hope you got some insight somewhere, that it sparked your curiosity, and that you're going to want to pursue understanding more of this like information. Just let me know in the comments if there's anything really got you going, got you feeling the conspiracy juices flowing, or just the pursuit of like, man, I need to learn more about that was cool, or that was bullshit. I'm not gonna debate anybody in the comments. I've been starting to get negative comments, which is cool too, I guess. But I just like see them, and I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time, because especially if they're like short, or there's no framework for me to be able to like question not its legitimacy, but it just like come to a better understanding. Because there's one where I did that, and I felt like both of us, because hopefully it wasn't a bot, but that like both of us got something out of it, better understanding in the Vesica Pisces of our interaction. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I didn't say this once during the video, but if you want to subscribe, you made it to the end, you probably already subscribed, or please subscribe. It helps me get to a monetized state. You can check out the Patreon. I got my intuition course, which I think is gonna be crucial for people to be able to slow down, because this is one of the things, again, from a different talk from Mark Passio that I recently listened to, that's one of the first crucial things after you get the knowledge or come to an understanding of true morality, that like you got to be able to slow down and filter what you're actually consuming, and not be consuming just mindless programming and the scrolling. Again, the last clip kind of like we're tying the bow very nicely into like, find the truth, don't become diluted with the overwhelm of fucking vapid, vain, pointless entertainment, information, infotainment, or whatever, distractions, things, and the emotional ploys and pulls of the fucking narcissistic Satanists, and not Satanists, and like, maybe some of them do the theistic worship, but the atheistic, just like, they just think that their egos are God, and they want to fucking control, manipulate, and trap us. Like, forget those people. They're dumb. Who cares? But that's all I got for you right now. Hopefully you got something out of it. I appreciate your time and attention. Aloha, mahalo. Yeah, aloha, mahalo. I will see you in the next one, hopefully. I don't know, but I appreciate you, and I wish there was a better way for me to like end these. I don't know. Somebody said I should do the John Connor line of like, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance. Peacefully persist, peacefully resist. Peacefully resist, peacefully persist, peacefully resist. If you're hearing this, you are the resistance. I'm here to overthrow the Illuminati and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, so Excelsior. Excelsior.
So open your third eye, let them AIs decide.